So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing Indian Express newspaper. We will be starting with the front page. We will be talking about few things which has happened around the world. The most important development which has happened in USA that they have completed their you can say elections, and soon there will be a new president over there, and considering the data or considering the number, it is evident that most probably we will be seeing a second term by Donald Trump. Okay, so we will be discussing all these impacts, like how India should see the second term. We will also look at the first term as well. Okay, so this will be the highlight of the today's session, and other than that we will be talking about the Jammu and Kashmir resolution on special status. There is this resolution by the state, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. I'm sorry, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. They have actually put forward the resolution in the assembly over there, and they have passed it. So we will be seeing that what is this regarding and what their demands are. Okay. Moving further, cabinet clears PM Vidya Lakshmi. Now there is this scheme which has been given the nod by the cabinet. So we will be talking about this scheme, and we will be seeing the specifics or the characteristics of this particular scheme. Okay, so this will be the highlight of today's discussion. Other than that, there will be one or two articles which we will be discussing. Okay. We will be starting with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, and afterwards we will be dealing with the facts of the day, and then there will be a discussion on the constitutional amendment. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now let's start with the discussion. This is the front page of the newspaper in front of you, which is saying Donald triumph. Okay, so basically here defeats Kamala in historic comeback on the wave of resentment. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, here you can see when we are talking about the current status here, in warmth some cold light. Trump may now seek India pro for America quid. Okay, so basically we will be seeing that there are high chances that we will be having a better term, you can say better relations with the USA in this terms as well. Okay, so we'll try to understand that. Our Prime Minister has congratulated Donald Trump on his you can say win. I'm sorry, my throat is not doing very well, so please bear with me. How much of the loan amount sorry, this is the question which has been taken from the today's section. Anyways, we will be looking at the question tomorrow which has been asked to you in the previous lecture. Okay, so anyways, now we will be moving further with the you can say facts, and before that I would like to tell you that we are having these offline batches for GS Foundation courses for prelims as well as mains in English medium at Indore 13th November and Delhi 26th of November. So for more details you can call on this number, that is 8010440440, or you can directly visit the center and get enrolled. Okay, and before moving further, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's see. In the facts of the day, we have taken here that elephants. We are talking about the elephants. Why? Because yesterday we have taken one article which was related to the kodo poisoning. Okay. With respect to the kodo poisoning, there are 10 elephants in the Madhya Pradesh. They have actually died, and that is why these elephants are in news. Most of the time you will be seeing that mostly UPSC has this tendency to ask questions related to the behavioral. Okay, when we talk about the behavior of animals, or you can say specific kind of social characteristics are there, so UPSC ask about them. So we will be talking about that over here. Considering the species of the elephant, there are 4 main species. One is your Indian, okay, that is found in Asia. Then we have Sumatran, that is also found in Asia. Then we have savanna, that is found in Africa, and forest, that is found in Africa. Okay, now there are 4 species. If we talk about the you can say IUCN status over here, so you will be saying that the Indian elephants are basically endangered. Okay, and other than that, if we talk about the Sumatran one, that is critically endangered, and when we talk about the savanna, that is endangered, and the forest ones are critically endangered. So just know that there are broadly 4 species which are there. 2 of them are critically endangered and 2 of them are endangered. When we talk about Indian elephant, they are endangered. Okay, now there is this habitat which has been given over here, so you can go through this. Other than that, as I told you, this question has been asked on the behavioral things. Okay, so here let's see. There are female elephants are more social than the male elephants. Okay, and they form herds, they live in herds or groups. So mostly that size of the group will be 5 to 7 particularly if we talk about this Bandhavgarh issue, wherein there was this herd of 13 elephants which was there, out of which 10 has died. Okay, now moving further, it is led by the oldest female in the group. Okay, so you can say that they are matriarchal in nature. Okay, so that is second thing. Male usually live alone. Now these are some behavioral facts which are there with respect to the elephant. Okay, now if we talk about the states in India where elephants are found, that is Karnataka, Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Odisha. Okay, so that is as per the 2017 census. So please remember Karnataka, Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Odisha. Okay. If we talk about the threat is obvious, because when we are talking about the threat to any kind of species, one is the habitat fragmentation. Okay, so that is their habitat fragmentation. Second is human elephant conflict. Since habitat fragmentation is happening, let's say there was this particular, you can say, forest which was there. Okay, and outside this forest there is this community which is living in this particular area. Now since this particular forest are being, you can say, fragmented from this side and their area is getting smaller, so obviously this elephant will be starting to move in the human settlements. Okay, and then comes the human elephants conflict. Okay, then we have the mistreatment in captivity, poaching for ivory. These are some of the reason for the, you can say, decline in the population or the threats to the population. Okay, now conservation efforts, if we talk about, there are Gaj Suchna app which is there, Gaj Yatra 2017, this one initiative which was there, Hathi Mera Sathi campaign was there, National Elephant Corridor program is there, monitoring the illegal killing of elephants, that is MIKE program. This becomes important for you, please remember this MIKE program. Okay, and we have Project Elephant on the line of Project Tiger, etc., and that has started in 1992. You can tell me in the comment box that when did the Project Tiger started? Project Tiger. So these are some brief facts about the elephants which you can remember. Okay, now we can move further. Bandhavgarh National Park, it is in Madhya Pradesh, regarding elephant deaths. Yes, correct. We have discussed it yesterday. Okay, now let's move further and see 24th Constitutional Amendment. We were discussing the constitutional amendments. We have discussed most prominent one before that. Last time we have discussed 18th one, I guess. Now we will be seeing the 24th Amendment Act 1971. Okay. Now here it was brought in response to the Golaknath ruling. Okay. When we talk about the Golaknath, Keshwanand Bharti, these rulings are basically related to the amendability of the constitution. It was related to the power of parliament to amend the constitution, whether parliament has certain power with respect to the amendment of the constitution, which part can be amended or not. Their question there in the Golaknath was whether fundamental rights can be amended or not. Okay, so let's see. It was brought in response to the Golaknath ruling of the Supreme Court, which held that the parliament does not have the power to take away fundamental rights through amendment to the constitution. So in the Golaknath, Supreme Court said that parliament cannot take away the fundamental rights. Okay, then they have come up with the 24th Constitutional Amendment Act, that they have said that parliament has that particular right. Okay, so to you can say overpower this ruling, they have come up with the, you can say, amendment. What amendment they have said? They affirm the power of the parliament to amend any part of the constitution, including fundamental rights, under Article 30, amending Article 13 and 368. Okay, and they have said that whatever is given under Article 13, that has nothing to do with the 368. Okay, so considering that, when we are talking about law, the definition, Article 30 is basically talking about the law, definition of law. So they have said that these Article 368 and 13 are two different things. Okay, so if you are going for any kind of changes in with respect to the procedure given in the Article 368, okay, and you are going for the constitutional amendment with respect to you can say powers given under Article 368, that will not be considered as a law within the meaning of Article 13. That means that that law can change the fundamental rights as well. Okay, so they have said that they have actually amended Article 13 and 368, and they have made sure that parliament has all the rights to amend the fundamental rights as well. Okay, now made it compulsory for the president to give his assent to constitutional amendment bills. Now you know that for constitutional amendment bill there is no prior recommendation which is required by from the president. And second thing is that in case of constitutional amendment acts, president cannot return the bill for reconsideration. He has to give the assent. There is no other power with respect to that. okay, and that provision was made with respect to the 24th Constitution Amendment Act. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further and start our discussion of the day. Okay, recalling India-US relations in the Trump 1.0. Before moving to the trajectory which India-US relation might take in the future, we will be discussing first that what was the nature of relations between India and USA in the first term of Trump administration. Okay, now it was observed that India and USA has become more closer allies during the first administration in the under the Trump's regime. Okay, so here you can see, from being a strategic partner we were already, and now we have become indispensable partner. So that was a huge step, or you can say that was considering the nature of relations India and USA has. Now we know that India is our ally which USA would not want to lose. Okay, there are interest which align itself for both the countries. Okay, so considering that, we will be seeing that India and USA relations are at best right now. Okay, and there are high chances in the next term also it will be like that. Okay, now let's see, from being a strategic to an indispensable partner to USA during the Donald Trump's first term, that is from 2017 to 2022. Okay, sorry, 21. India and USA become closer than ever before. Now what Trump 1.0 look like, we will be seeing that in three or four parts. One is your cooperation on the defense, terrorism and energy. Okay, so there are these three arenas if we talk about. First, if we talk about the cooperation. Okay, now Trump got elected for the first term, and within months our prime minister goes to USA. And after that, if we talk about the you can say that particular visit, we will be seeing that at that point of time they have discussed India and Pakistan as well. They have actually talked against Pakistan. They have said that they are in favor with India on the issue of terrorism. After that, in that particular meeting, our prime minister has said that he should visit India, and he said that he will visit India, and afterwards, like after 2.5 years, he has visited India as well. Okay, now that was the one thing where the two leaders understands each other. Two leaders has a, you can say, kind of chemistry which is there. Okay, so Narendra Modi visited White House in 2017. Trump promised Modi that he would visit India. Ahmedabad's newly Narendra Modi Stadium was the place where he has addressed nearly you can say some 50,000 people over there. Okay, then moving further, here you can see met several times between 2017 to 2020. We will be seeing when and where what has happened at that point of time. And here you can say Trump administration robust support to India on terrorism. USA supported designation of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as global terrorist by UNSC following the Pulwama attack in 2019. That was a strategic you can say win for India. So that is one thing, and USA has supported us at that point of time. Then grey listing of Pakistan by the FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force. Okay, so in 2018 with respect to, you can say, India's resolution and USA's support, we have actually grey listed Pakistan in FATF. Okay, so that was the second thing. Now if we talk about India's defense procurement, so under Trump's regime, our, you can say, defense ties or defense trade has actually climbed to 18 billion US dollars in 2019. Okay, and here you can see we have been we have actually elevated to tier 1 of the strategic trade authorization, that is also called as STA. Okay, tier 1 of STA. Now what is the advantage of being in the tier 1 of STA? So there is some kind of defense technologies which are secret that has been given by USA for us to avail. Okay, now before that, when we talk about before Trump's regime also, there are various restrictions on the, you can say, technology sharing. Okay, but after, or you can say during the Trump regime, we have seen that we have become a close ally, and that has opened up the high level American defense technologies to India. Now earlier they were not even giving you the you can say they are not willing to go for the technology transfer. Now they are coming up with the high level American technology transfer to India. Okay, so that was another thing. Improving the country's military preparedness, diversifying its defense acquisitions. Okay, before that, you can say our defense partner, that was Russia. We used to rely for most of our defense related requirement on Russia. Now we have diversified it with USA as well. Okay, now shared intelligence during the Galwan Valley issue. When this Galwan issue has happened in 2020, at that point of time, we have gone for the intelligence sharing. When we talk about the Kargil issue, at that point of time, USA did not share information with us. Okay, and now from that point to this point, that is what has happened. Okay, now moving further, if we talk about the energy sector, so one thing is clear that USA is the oil supplier, and USA has, when we are talking about this particular relations, every time it is not very, when we talk about the international relations, there are interests. Okay, sometimes these interests actually conflict with each other, and that was the case with Iran. We used to buy oil from Iran, and Trump did not want us to. Okay, so he had, USA had their own reasons, India has their own reasons, so that was one thing. But still, when we talk about oil trade, we have started to buy oil from USA, so we have also gone for the diversification in the field of oil as well in the first Trump. Here you can say the launch of the bilateral strategic energy partnership. So that is one thing which is there with respect to the energy sector. Bilateral strategic energy partnership in 2018, India is starting to import crude oil and LNG from USA. Okay, so that was there, and merely in few years, okay, from zero to we have gone for the trade of 6.7 billion US dollars. Okay, so that was a huge step again, and considering USA has become the 6th largest source of hydrocarbon imports for India. Coming to the next one, some challenges and the major controversy. Obviously, there were some challenges because, as I told you, there are interests, and interests, there are chances that they might conflict, they might be at the conflict as well. Okay, so here if you see, we have witnessed few conflicts over here. Trump effectively forced India to stop buying oil from Iran, which we have already discussed over here. So that is one thing. Other than that, we have also seen some kind of tariff restrictions which were there. When we talk about the India and USA's trade, India has the surplus. Okay, and USA again and again wants that India should come at the equal footing. They actually India has to open up their economies and lessen the tariffs which are there on the USA's export. Okay, so that is there. Considering that trade related issues were there at the WTO also, India and USA has these trade related issues. Okay, so that was another thing which was there. Now here you can say that is the trade regime, that is also a point of contention between India and USA. Despite the US becoming India's largest trading partner, bilateral trade in goods and services grew more than 10% per annum between 2016 to 18, reaching 142 billion US dollars. Trump still wanted better tariffs from India. Okay, and a more predictable regime to conduct business in. So that was the thing with respect to the trade. Attitude with respect to the immigration, we know that there was this issue with respect to the H1B visa. Okay, so the rate at which these visas were declining, that was 18% during the Trump regime, which is right now, if we are talking about the Biden regime, that was nearly around 3%. Okay, there are chances in the next regime also we will be seeing that these visas getting declined. Okay, so that is some point of contention. Other than that, one major issue between India and USA which has happened was that the Mr. Trump has said that Modi has asked him to negotiate between India and Pakistan with respect to the Kashmir issue. Okay, so that was one point of contention which was there, but later on he has taken a step back and he has said that if both the country wants, okay, and he has said that that was a offer from USA. Okay, so he has clarified it, and after that in the next bilateral meeting also there was no such tension which was witnessed in that particular meeting. So that was a point of contention which was there. Okay, now China, a common rival and a strategic threat. USA consider China a rival because China is the one who has threatened, or you can say actually destroyed USA's hegemony. Okay, now because of which USA is seeing China as a threat. Now in the Indo-Pacific region also, USA has actually created a strategy with respect to the Indo-Pacific region, and in that they have said that India has to play a pivotal role. Okay, so that is there. Here you can see USA firmly established China as a strategic threat and a rival, strategic glue for Indo-US relation, because India is also somewhere has some issues with China. So it is considered as the strategic glue for India and USA relations. Trump has revived the Quad grouping, which is between India, USA, Australia and Japan. Other than that, he has laid out a strategy to confront China's aggressive behavior in the Indo-Pacific. Okay, so these are certain things with respect to the Trump's first regime. Now we will be seeing that what will be the impact of these elections on India USA relations. Okay, now here you can see. Okay, now let's see. These are some prime minister visits which are given over here, but before that we will be discussing this particular thing. Okay, now let's see. Trump win and likely India will have impacts of that. So we will be talking about that. Other than that, if you see here, Trumponomics and India. Most of the time it is said that Trump has the transactional nature of relations. Transactional nature means that for one thing he is providing you, you have to give one thing in return. Okay, so that is generally said about Trump. Obviously he is a businessman, considering that he has the transactional relationship. So in that regard, if we talk about India and USA relations, we have to take a step back on our interest at some point. But the thing is, obviously here we have to be, walk on the thin line over here. Okay, so let's see. First thing over here is that economic outlook represented by the Trump could, if not put into practice, trigger high inflation in the USA. Right now, you know that because of the lesser inflation, what has happened that the Fed reserves are basically going for the rate cuts. Okay, they are going for the rate cuts, and the kind of policies he is advocating for his campaign, if they are put into practice, that means that there will be a lot of efforts which will be taken by the USA's treasury, or lot of fund which will be given by the USA's treasury, that might increase the inflation in the USA. If inflation is increasing, so Fed cannot go for the further cut in the, you can say, policy rates. So ultimately that particular stance has to change. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, here you can see plans to impose a 20% tariff on the imports. So that is something which he has actually, when we are talking about the manifesto, etc. So he has said that he will be going for the imposing 20% tariff on all imports. So that is one thing. If they are going for the 20% tariff on all imports, that means that our exports will get hurt. Okay, so that is one thing. With respect to India, if they are putting or increasing the tariffs, that means that our export will get a hit. That is one thing. More than 200% duties on the car. Okay, so that is also a negative thing which will happen. A proposal to deport millions of irregular immigrants. So that is one thing. He will go, removing the immigrants from the area. That is one thing. Other than that, also we have seen that the H1B visa related issue can happen. To extend a tax cut at the time when the USA's budget deficit is at record high. Now tax cuts. If a country is going for tax cut, that means that the revenue of the government is declining. Okay, revenue of the government is declining. If the revenue is declining, so obviously there will be a pressure on the government's treasury. Okay, at that point of time when this is already, when we talk about the budget deficit, that is already at the record high. Okay, so these are the situations which might get created if the policies are being implemented. Okay, the proposals could present some macroeconomic challenge, and if you are talking about the coming presidency, is seen a positive for the American stock and dollar, and some concern for the treasury. Concern for the treasury because revenue are declining. Okay, and positive for the American stocks because there will be dollar which will be getting stronger. Okay, dollar will be getting stronger, and since there will be some kind of money from the government side which will be invested, that means that there will be high investment. That means that the stock valuation will increase. There will be economic growth in the country. Okay, so that is why for stocks it is good, and if we consider for the treasury, that will be having a negative impact. Okay, potentially throw up challenges for the India's growth imperative amid possible disruption in the global supply chains, trade wars, tariff barriers, heightened forex volatility, and the headwinds to the global fund flow. The kind of uncertainty is there in the global, you can say, economies. That means, and coming up with the dollar even getting stronger, that might have negative impacts on the countries like India. Okay, now dilution of the Federal Reserve's rate cut agenda. As I told you, they are going, if they go for the, you can say, more and more money which has been spent by the government, okay, inflation will increase. That means that you cannot go for the further rate cut. Okay, and it will impact the treasury of trajectory of India's monetary policy. As I told you that any kind of change in the monetary policy in USA that has an impact in the to the global economy as well, and considering that obviously India will also see some kind of impacts. Okay. Now here you can see, if we talk about the trade, he referred to India as a very big abuser of the trade. In the first term, he has said that India is a very big abuser of the trade ties. Why? Because we are having a surplus with respect to USA India business. So that is one thing. Negatively impacting India's exports, more protectionism could be negative for India. If he increases the tariffs, that means that Indian exports will not be going over there, or Indian exports, if at all going there, that will be very costly. That means that that will hurt our interest or the export interest. Okay. India's export to USA in 2023-24 was 77.5 billion US dollar, with the trade in Delhi's favor. Okay, so as I told you that we are having surplus, and that is one of the concern he has with India. Okay, considering oil, we have already seen that USA is a, you can say, economy which is selling oil nowadays. USA oil output and the export could add to the global supply. So obviously in the global supply, you will see that the source will get increased, or you can say we can go for the diversification. One more option will be there over there, but the thing is he might ask you to not buy oil from Iran. So that is one thing. Okay, lower prices will be good for India. Obviously if there is a supply which is increasing, supply increases in the market, that means that prices will go down. If prices are going down, that means that is good for India, because we are the third largest consumer of the oil. Okay, then talking about IT, as I told you that as H1B visa restrictions might be increased, so because of which there can be an impact on the IT sector, because most of the, you can say, H1B visas, or you can say nearly 70% of the H1B visas which are there in USA, that are given to Indian, you can say, IT sector professionals. Okay, so here you can say toughens its stance on the H1B visas. Indian IT sector is the biggest beneficiary of the H1B visas. Denial rate for the H1B visa jumped to average of 18% from 2016 to 2020, and that is right now, if we talk about the Joe Biden's administration, that was nearly 3.2%. Okay, 72.3% of the total H1B visas are given to Indians. Okay, so these are some economic impact which we will face during the Trump's new term. So that is something which we have discussed. Now if we talk about this particular thing over here, the Prime Minister and the President visits, or you can say jab they met, they have given a fancy title over here. June 2017, Modi's visit to USA. At that point of time, as I told you, that we have gone for the criticism of Pakistan. Okay, so that is one thing. At that point of time, they have said that India and USA never had better ties. So that is one thing. After that, here he has invited the president to visit India. So afterwards, we will see that has happened. Then G7 sidelines. So here also, that was the time when he has talked about the Kashmir issue. Okay, so that was some kind of, you can say, just after the Kashmir issue, there was this particular G7 summit, and in the G7 summit, that it was seen that there is no bitterness in the USA-India ties. So that was there. We have already seen that what was the Kashmir related issue, that he has offered that he can navigate, you can say, negotiate between India and Pakistan. Then Howdy Modi in Texas. After that, again there was this visit by our Prime Minister in USA, and there was huge response which he has got over there, and this was just after the abrogation of Article 370. Okay, that special status of the Jammu and Kashmir. Considering that, Namaste Trump in India. So that was related to your Ahmedabad, you can say Narendra Modi Stadium, and this is just before the outbreak of Corona. So we can see that the kind of relations which India and USA share, that is really good during the Trump 1.0. Now let's see what will be the fate in Trump 2.0. Okay, now Jammu and Kashmir clears resolution on the special status restoration, favors a dialogue. Okay, here Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, after fresh elections, now we have assembly, state assembly, you can say Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has a assembly over there, and they have actually passed a resolution seeking a dialogue for the restoration of special status and the constitutional guarantees to the Union Territory, and urging that the constitutional mechanism be worked out for the same. Okay, so resolution is with respect to the dialogue with the center on the restoration of the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is to come up with a framework to implement the same. So this has been discussed in the resolution. This legislative assembly reaffirms the importance of the special status and constitutional guarantees which safeguard the identity, culture and rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and expresses the concern over the unilateral removal of the status. Okay, so that has been there, though in this particular you can say resolution they have not specifically mentioned article 370, or you can say 35A, which was the point of contention. So they have not actually explicitly discussed that, but they want to have a dialogue with the central government with respect to the restoration of the special status to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, now it seeks dialogue with the central government for restoring the special status, calls for constitutional mechanism to ensure protection of identity, culture and rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. No mention of specifics like 370 or 35A, which previously granted special status, okay, which has been revoked on August 2019. Okay, so I hope that is clear. That was just a small thing which has been, you can say, mentioned over here, so we have discussed it. Okay, now moving further, cabinet clears PM Vidya Lakshmi, which is a collateral free loan scheme for the students. Now students who are going for the higher education, okay, for them we have this particular scheme. Let's see what is that. Union cabinet has approved the PM Vidya Lakshmi that makes students who get admissions in the quality higher educational institutions. Now this is a category that is QHEIs. Now that will the status will be depending on the ranking of the institutions. Okay, so that is the one thing which is there, and eligible for a collateral free and guarantee free education loans. Okay, now in these collateral free and the guarantee free education loans, 75% of the loan will be guaranteed by the, you can say, central government over here. Okay, now outlay for this particular scheme is 3600 crores, and this scheme will be valid from 2024-25 to 2030-31. Okay, and 7 lakh fresh students will be the beneficiary of this particular scheme. Okay, a student will be provided a 75% credit guarantee by the central government for loans up to 10 lakhs. Okay, for up to, up to 7.5 lakhs. Okay, 75% you can say credit guarantee on the loans up to 7.5 lakh rupees. Okay, so that guarantee will be given by the central government. Okay, a student with an average or annual family income up to 8 lakh rupees who are ineligible for any kind of benefits under any other central government scheme or any other scholarship or the interest subvention schemes will be provided 3% interest subvention. Okay, so there is a provision for the 3% interest subvention for the loans up to 10 lakh during the moratorium period. Okay, so basically you can get a loan up to 10 lakh rupees, out of which 7.5 lakh rupees government will be giving you a guarantee. That guarantee will be given to the bank by the government with respect to these loans. Okay, and 3% interest subvention will be there on this particular loan. Whatever rate is there, on that rate, let's say rate is somewhere around 12%, so you will be getting a 3% of the subvention. That will effective rate for you will be 9%. Okay, so that is one thing. Now moving further, up to 1 lakh students every year will be given this particular loan. Preference will be given to the students who are from the government institution and has opted for the technical and the professional courses. Again, they are saying that preference will be given for the technical and the professional courses, but the thing is that can also be given for the non-technical, you can say, education. Now existing scheme, there is this central sector interest subsidy scheme which is there, under which full subvention interest subventions are given up to loan of 10 lakh rupees. Okay, here we are giving 3% interest subventions. Here you can see full interest subventions are given up to loan of 10 lakh rupees to the students with the annual income of the family that is you can say less than or equal to 4.5 lakhs rupees. Okay, in that case there can be they can pursue technical as well as the professional courses. Okay, now if we talk about the quality higher education in institution, that is QHEIs, as I told you, that will be defined, or this particular status will be defined by the NIRF rankings. Okay, so ultimately top 860 institutions will be eligible for that particular thing. Okay. Now, if we talk about the objective, it is to improve access to the quality higher education, especially for the economically weaker section, which we have seen that this scheme is for the people who are having family income that is less than or equal to 8 lakh rupees. Okay. Moving further here, if we talk about the specifics which we have already discussed, now you can go through this particular slide. If you have any doubt, you can directly ask me in the comment box. Otherwise, we have discussed all these you can say provisions already. We have talked about the QHEI rankings. We have talked about the you can say credit guarantee which has been given by the central government. We have talked about the interest subsidy over interest subsidy which is of 3% which will be given to the students, and we have talked about the outlay. And if we talk about the eligibility, we have seen that if a person is having you can say family income which is less than 8 lakh rupees, he will be you can say eligible for this particular scheme. Okay. Now, moving further, sanctions needed under the PMLA to prosecute public servants, that says the Supreme Court. Okay. Now, there was this case under which the ED has said that under any kind of investigation under PMLA, they do not require any kind of sanctions from the you can say government, prior sanctions, if the case falls under the jurisdiction of PMLA. Okay. Now, there is this sections which is given in the CRPC, which is saying that if a public servant is to be prosecuted for some kind of alleged crime, in that case you have to get a prior sanctions from the central government, but that is not the case. That has been said by the ED, but let's see what Supreme Court has said. So, section 197 clause 1 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, that is CRPC, mandates prior sanctions from the government to take cognizance of the offence against the public servant. So, basically, if the magistrate, even a magistrate is taking a cognizance, or in that case you have to take a prior sanctions from the government in case of prosecution with respect to the public servants. Okay. So, that is there with upholding the Telangana High Court's decision. So, that is what Supreme Court has said, that even in case of PMLAs also you have to get that particular sanctions. Okay. So, the argument which was put forward by the ED was that in case which is given in the sanctions section 671 of the PMLA, its provision have an overriding effect over the provisions of the other statutes that is there in the CRPC, etc. But the Supreme Court has said that that is not the case. If a public servant is being tried, so you have to take a prior sanction from the government. Okay. So, that is what has been discussed in this particular case. You can go through this article. Now, moving further, for your own read, there is this article, Trump could turn the clock back yet again on the climate action. We know that last time in the Trump administration, he has withdrawn from the various international treaties. Okay, that can happen again. So, with respect to the climate change, if we talk about, that can have a negative impact. So, you can go through this particular article. That is not, there is nothing much which has been discussed over here. Just the thing is that he has previously withdrawn from the international treaties. There might be a chance that he might do it again. Okay. So, that is about this article. In the end, we have this passing reference for this particular article, North Block to be restored to become you can say a national museum. Before that, they will be going for the restoration, etc. So, nothing much is given. So, they are just saying that when we talk about the North Block and the South Block, okay, South Block is basically your PM residence, sorry, PM residence. Now, the North Block will be going for the restoration, and then the National Museum will be shifted to the North Block. Okay, so that is about it. Now, in the end, we have this practice question for you. Bandhavgarh National Park is located in which Indian state? That was the question which was there for your discussion in the starting. So, answer is your Madhya Pradesh. And if we talk about today's session, that question will be the one which was over here. So, the question is, how much of the loan amount is guaranteed by the central government under PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme? Okay, 50%, 65%, 75% and 100%. Okay, so that is there. So, you can go through the options again and you can answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave and I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.